You are now listening to the most talked about blog talk radio station in the universe. Walk in his ways, Impact Voice Radio. Be prepared to have your mind stimulated, your spirit elevated in ways you couldn't even imagine. Introducing your host and the mastermind behind this unforgettable experience, Ferman Jackson Jr. You will not be disappointed. Let's go!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Walking This Way's Impact Voice Podcast. I'm your host, Ferman Jackson Jr., broadcast you live once again from my hometown of Arlington, Texas, between Dallas and Fort Worth. I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope everybody had a very productive evening, of course. Along also, we have Kenny back with us. We have Danielle back with us. We have E.Mo back with us. And we have a very special guest with us as well, Miss Price. She's hanging out with us to talk about a lot of great things that she's doing, things she has accomplished. Very exciting story, very exciting background. And I know her story will inspire you in some form or fashion to say, if she could start at a certain age, I could do things at a certain age. It don't matter how old you are, you can start a thing at whatever age. The first thing you have to do, you have to be willing in order to embrace what God has for you to do. So before we get off into tonight's interview Q&A session, I want to introduce Kenny Primetime Willams. He got the latest news and sports updates. So Kenny, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Prime Zone. Now, I know things have been a little slow. The COVID is picking up a little bit, but that's not going to stop our segment tonight. And what I want to let everybody know, I want you to relax. I'm going to play something for you because I'm down for everybody. I'm going to start this segment off. We got a lot of things going on in the sports world. Football season is going to come in session. The NBA Finals might end tonight. It might not. We never know. But hey, we're going to sit back today and we're going to talk about it just a little bit. I want to give shouts out to Dallas, Texas. I want to give shouts out to Mobile, Alabama. The Mississippi Gulf Coast surrounding areas. I love you guys. And we're going to get into the sports. Right now, the NBA Finals, Game 6 is tonight.
Somebody's at the door.
Is tonight. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Milwaukee have won 3 straight games, leading the series 3-2. Now, we're going to see will Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks be able to withstand Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns tonight? I don't know. I think the Phoenix Suns tonight is going to come out in the victory playing for Game 7. I'm looking forward to the game. Matter of fact, after the podcast, I'm going to prop my feet up and I'm going to get ready to watch the game, and I hope you do the same thing as well. Now, let's go on down to Alabama, Tuscaloosa. The Crimson Tide got a new quarterback, ladies and gentlemen. His name is Bryce Young. Now, Nick Saban has not named him the starter yet, but already he has $1 million approaching him in endorsement deals. That is awesome as a kid. So we're going to look. Last year, he only played in 9 games, completing 13 of 22 passes for 156 yards and a touchdown. So Alabama is scheduled to open their season up against the Hurricanes of Miami. Miami Hurricanes, you know them, the bad boys of college football. But we're going to look forward to see what they do on September 4th. They're going to do some great things, but we're going to roll out. We're going to get ready to go on to the Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're just Super Bowl champions for this year. Because next year, the Lombardi Trophy going to come to Dallas. But anyway, the Super Bowl champions visit Washington, the White House today in Washington with President Biden and had a great time. Tom Brady made the visit. You know, every year he win the Super Bowl with the New England Patriots, but he never goes to the White House. But this year he went with his new team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they had a great time today. And it was just an awesome deal. Tom Brady haven't been to the White House since 2005, and he made his way there today. And so I was proud to see that. I was glad to see the guys up in there. But next year we're going to have Mr. Prescott along with the Dallas Cowboys standing behind President Biden for the visit to the White House. I'm with that. How about you? Now, let's go on to the football. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers got a total soap opera going. They offered him a 2-year deal, putting him in Green Bay for a while, making him the highest paid quarterback. But guess what? He declined it. And I'm glad he did. Aaron has been expressing himself for the past couple of months that he wants to leave Green Bay and he wants to move on. And I don't blame him. And so I think that he needs to get a better deal from another team because that's what he's waiting for. He doesn't no longer want to be a Green Bay Packer, and he wants to move on to do better endeavors somewhere else in another city. So the greatness of Aaron Rodgers is, it's unbelievable, and I wish him well. Training camp has kicked off for all NFL teams as of today. And so we're looking forward to the preseason coming up. The Hall of Fame game is August 5th with my Dallas Cowboys taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, in LA, the Los Angeles Rams star running back Cam Akers is out for the season. Is out for the season, ladies and gentlemen. In workouts, he tore his Achilles. And he was had some work done and had some things going on with him, and he actually was ruled out for the entire season. This is the second time he's been injured and ruled out for the entire season. So I wish him well in recovery. I pray to God for a speedy recovery for him, and all is well as that way. Now, some little bad news. All-pro cornerback, Richard Sherman, ladies and gentlemen, has been arrested. He's been released, but he was arrested for intoxication, and also he was arrested for vandalism, trying to break into his in-laws' home. He was very remorseful, but the NFL is looking into the investigation, and he has been released due to judge orders. So Richard we're hoping Richard continue to do great things for himself and get ready for the season. He has a season to play. He doesn't have a team to play for right now. Mr. Jones, I think you need to call Mr. Sherman. We can definitely use him in a star uniform, you know? Boxing. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder 3 is now been booked to October 9th in Las Vegas. Now, we didn't saw the first part 1 and we just saw part 2, but we waiting to see part 3 and see what happens. I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm going to watch it myself. I'm looking forward to big and better things for Deontay Wilder. He didn't do too well in part 2 of the fight, so I'm looking for him to do great things in upcoming fight on October 9th. So if you have pay-per-view, order that fight, support our guy, and I think he's going to do great and regain his title back again. Now, I know there's not a lot to tell you, but I do have something to let you know. One thing. I love you guys. I love being on this show. I love being on this podcast. I love all the co-hosts. Mr. Jackson, I thank you for the opportunity. And before I leave you, I want you to know the final word of the day is don't let yesterday take up too much of today. Again, I want to say don't let yesterday take up too much of today. That's my time, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to wish you guys a great evening. God loves you. Jesus loves you. And most importantly, I love you as well. And there's nothing you could do about it. Mr. Jackson, back to you.
Appreciate your prime time with the latest news and updates that's going on. I'm very excited about football season myself. It's always Cowboys Nation, no matter what. I'm looking forward to see Dak, Zeke, the rest of the boys get back on the field. And also, man, big comeback season for Dak Prescott. You know, he had that bad injury last season. He got his money. He deserved it. He's a leader on and off the field. And hopefully we'll be able to make it happen. We're having him on the podcast, interview him, and talk about the upcoming season, and just believe in God for that. Also, we got the latest news as well. E.Mo, I know you got the latest news, things that's taking place in our world, in our city, in our state, in our nation. Take it away.
Hey, everybody. It's your girl E.Mo with the news on tonight. Glad to be back. I've had a great time last week. So I was out. I was in Houston, Texas, celebrating my birthday. Your girl is now 37. I'm moving up in age, but never moving up in old spirits. So we're going to start our news off with our RIP. So we're going to be saying RIP to the great Biz Marquis. And we're also going to be saying RIP to Frankie Loans, which is Keisha Cole's mom. Y'all may remember her from the
really?
reality series with Keisha Cole, as well as Frankie and Neffy, her other daughter. They had a reality show on BET as well. So we just want to send out our condolences to their families as well as their fans because they lost their lives recently. Also, have y'all heard about the millionaire Jeff Bezos, who is the owner of Amazon? He set up a company to launch him into space. And guess what? He set this company up in 2000, in the year 2000. And so 21 years later, he was able to take the first flight into space. So the flight lasted only a couple of minutes, so about a 10, 15-minute flight. But he was able to go into space with his company. And he took with him his brother. He took with him the oldest person to ever go in space, which is a pilot by the name of Wally Franks, and then the youngest person to ever go into space. And his father purchased a ticket for him. So you had an 82-year-old go into space and an 18-year-old. So they've all made history. But can you imagine being a billionaire and creating a company 21 years later, you're able to go into space?
Oh, yeah.
That is crazy. I got to get my paper up. Clearly, I'm in the wrong industry. But the crazy thing is everybody was kind of downing him and dissing him because he was thanking the Amazon employees. He was thanking all the people who purchased from Amazon, saying thank you because y'all made the way for me to go into space. So hats off to him. I'm glad he was able to get his frills from his company.
Absolutely.
In other news, all right, guys, let's get serious for a minute. COVID numbers are rising nationwide. So if you are not vaccinated and you don't feel like you should get vaccinated, we are okay with that. But we do ask that you still wear your mask. We still need to mask up, guys. We still need to protect the next man, not just ourselves, but we need to be protecting our family. We need to protect our friends. So please wear your mask when you're in public spaces. Remember to do social distancing if possible. And remember your hand washing techniques. I know we entered into the summer months, numbers started decreasing, and so we kind of got a little lax. But I need everybody to continue to be vigilant. Our children are getting ready to go back to school. You might not have kids, but I'm sure you have nieces, nephews, cousins, friends. So be vigilant for them if you don't want to be vigilant for yourself. That's all the news that I have now. I love you guys. Peace.
Thank you, E.Mo, with the latest news and updates that's taking place in our world, our city, our nation. And once again, hope everybody having a great, productive day, evening, wherever we may be at, West Coast, East Coast, South, North, whatever it may be at. We thank y'all for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us, tuning in with us. I also want to introduce my lovely co-host, Miss Danielle Brown. Thank you. Once again, introduce yourself to the audience that's tuning in with us tonight.
Hello. My name is Danielle Brown, and I'm actually repping for the West Coast over here. I think everybody on here is from the East Coast.
The South.
Yeah?
The South.
From the South. Okay. So I'm over here in California. I'm a financial advisor, and I'm also a minister. I have my own ministry. It's called New Vision Ministries. I just love talking to people who are doing things in the world. And so, Catrice, I was so inspired by your story. I'm excited to jump in there and learn more about you.
Thank you.
And it's awesome stuff. Like I said, we thank everybody for tuning in, part of the podcast here tonight. Here on Walking This Way Impact, what we love to hear people share their stories, their triumphs, their overcome of to inspire others, allowing your gift to impact others' lives. That hey, if they could do it, I could do it too. Before I go into the air tonight, I just want to share passage scripture right quick before we get started with the Q&A. And this is out of Joshua chapter 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 8. It says this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. God wants you to have good success. He desires for you to have good success. The way you obtain good success is being a doer of his word. The more you become a doer of his word, the more you start prospering. You have good success. So he gave this instructions to Joshua: do not let the book of the law depart your mouth, which is the word of God. To us, the Bible. And meditate. We should always renew our mind, change the way we think constantly on a regular basis. It's not just a one-time thing. This is a lifestyle we have to do. We have to train ourselves to meditate on the word. First thing we wake up, last thing we do before we go to bed at night. And then out of that, he said, observe and do. We have to observe it. We have to examine and do it. See, the Bible said, be doers of the word, not just here on deceiving our own selves. But he told us the only thing we have to do is meditate, observe, and we'll prosper, and we'll have good success. So I want y'all to be encouraged tonight that God will give you great success. All we have to do is just be obedient and be a doer of his word. And he's going to make your way prosperous, and you're going to have good success. It's not just for you, it's for your lineage, it's for your children's children. The Bible said, a good man leaving the hands for his children's children. And God did with generations. He did with generationally. So we want us to be right before God, that our children can experience the benefits, the covenant that he had made with us. Also, we want to thank once again everybody for tuning in with us tonight. We have Miss Price. She's originally here in Arlington, Texas. Big shouts to Arlington and Dallas, Fort Worth. She has an amazing background. She has an amazing story. Just looking at, just reading over her bio, it showed me that age ain't nothing but a number. It showed me that if you're willing to be somebody in life, you can. It don't matter about the age. It's all about your willingness, because she started her first business at 13 years old. What majority of a lot of 13-year-olds are doing? Either they're outside playing video games, running up and down, but her mindset at 13 to start her own business, her first business at 13. And the rest was down from that farm. But she's here with us tonight. I want her to introduce herself to those that's listening in. Ms. Price, welcome to Walking This Way Impact Voice Podcast.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here. And I want to thank you for inviting me onto this beautiful podcast and sharing all my information and my story with all these lovely people today. But yeah, so who is Catrice? Catrice Price is a girl, Southern girl, born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. Shout out to my 901. Born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. There you go. And I started out pretty in a peculiar way. So I always felt different from a lot of people, a lot of kids around my own age. So as I got older and I got into middle school, I started surfing the web for creative things that I can do, right? Arts and craft kind of stuff like that. So I always loved fashion. I was like, wow, I would love to be a fashion model. So that's when I thought of, why don't I sell accessories? Because in that time, the popular item was the little pom-pom keychain that you can, the fur ball keychains you can put on your keychain. And it was so popular. I was like, wow, I can profit from this. And I was thinking, I was using big words I didn't know the meaning of. I was watching Shark Tank. I mean, I was doing a lot of stuff I really was like, had no business watching. But I did it anyway, because it sparked my, curiosity. So once I dived more into that, I did start my first business when I was 13 years old. It didn't go quite well because one, I was underage. Two, I had limited, income and way to actually fuel my business monetarily wise. So, and I didn't have any leadership. I didn't have any guide. So I was doing everything off the whim. I was like, okay, I can sell this from China. and it is not that simple. So that business ended. Then I got into high school. And when I got into high school, I started a number of other activities. So I started doing my own makeup, and then I became a freelance makeup artist. And then I created a shoe line out of Italy, but the prototypes were very expensive. So of course that didn't launch. Then I started a swimwear line when I was in college. And that didn't take off either, because I was like, okay, do I want to pay more attention to college or do I want to grow this business here? And it's all e-commerce. So I could, of course, do it part-time, but I really was that person like, okay, I got to focus on one thing and then branch off to another. Otherwise, I'm gonna be all over the place because I multitask. My multitasking levels suck. It really does. So I was like, you know what? I got to focus on one thing and let it launch and then focus on something else. So this when I got into this industry. So I've been in and out of industries since I dropped out of college. My second semester, sorry. My second semester when I was a freshman, I dropped out. I felt that I was, of course, not around people who I shared my vision with, or they didn't share my vision with me. So I felt that I was beyond my years. It's like kind of like an old soul, and I am an old soul. I get it all the time. So I felt that I needed something better, right? I think I needed an actual coach that will that's in the space of business and entrepreneurship that will lead me into what I'm trying to develop. So I got into sales, and then from there I bounced between health insurance, life insurance, tech sales, you name it. Any sales job it was, I got it. So I finally landed on this. I paid more attention to it, credit repair and financial literacy. And ever since then, March of this year, I've been taking it a little bit more seriously. I got in about 2.5 years ago. But since then, I've been able to not only supplement my income from my full-time corporate job in sales, which I left that job about 1.5 months ago, and I've been doing this full-time. So not only that, I've been able to pour into the hearts and touch as many people as I can and help, and of course, help them build up their financial literacy and repair their credit, because credit is like oxygen. We all need it. So, and we all can't live without it. So what better way of me impacting lives than something I can use within our own community and uplift from there.
Man, that's some awesome stuff. Just you taking the risk, taking chance after chance after chance, because you was determined to be successful. You were determined to be more than you are. You was capable of being. So, Daniel, you have any questions you want to ask for Catrice?
Wow, I am so inspired. Your story is just, it's the true definition of don't give up. I mean, just listening to your story and seeing how you kept running into obstacles, but you didn't give up. And now you've made it to a place that you're, from what I hear, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you're living in your purpose and you feel like you're actually impacting people, not just making money. And so I love it. I'm big into financial literacy as a financial advisor. So I feel like we could talk about that all day, but we'll do that another time. But my first question for you is, do you have a vision statement for your business? And how does that translate to like regular people? Like, what does that mean for me or anybody else listening?
Yes. So my vision statement to my company is to empower the lives one way at a time, or one touch at a time. So within our community, primarily the Black community, one thing that we do suffer historically is financial literacy, or just education. We've always been the one to fall behind, versus our counterparts, right? So one way where I figured that I can use this tool, credit repair, and the tools that we have in financial literacy, we can go into schools. So that's another vision that I have, going into schools, implementing our programs into the curriculums and touching our communities one way at a time. So I wanted to go back to Memphis, Tennessee, my hometown, and go back to my neighborhood and actually saturate that market and then grow from there. So small like community gatherings, go to churches, go to schools, go to banks, stuff like that, and really just get in front of the people and say, hey, I have a product here. I know it's different, but it's how it's going to impact your life. And you don't have to live off EBT. You don't have to live, paycheck to paycheck and things like that. It's very common, in the in the low income areas, communities. So my vision is to go back to my original my original parts, right? Memphis, Tennessee, Fraser, Raleigh area. So anybody in the crowd knows what I'm talking about.
North Memphis.
Yes, exactly. That's my old stomping grounds. So I wanted to go back, to my hometown and really just turn it inside and out, because it's exactly what we need. So that's my overall vision.
Wow, I totally agree. Everybody, that's why I got into what I do. I really do believe, especially our Black communities need financial literacy. And so for you to have a passion to go back and especially credit repair, that's like the mystery for everybody. And I do a lot of classes on credit repair as well. And people are just like, they'll sit there for hours and listen, just talking about that. So I think you really have a great platform. You could even go maybe online, just teach. I mean, people will listen. There's a lot of people out there that could use your help.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And that's what I plan on doing too.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And that question is, for those that's tuning in, how did you get started in the career, in the credit repair business? So we know, like you said, credit is important, of course. When it comes to the Black community, we lack that area bad when it comes to credit. So explain to everybody, how did you get into the business of repairing credit?
Yeah, so I have to give this back to my mother. She got me into this when I was 18, fresh out of high school, I think. And at the time, it was to support her, but I was like any other 18-year-old, right? I was like, I don't really care about credit. It'll come later when I'm older. I got kids. I'm married, maybe. It'll be important later on down the road. So I fell on my face. I started applying for credit card after credit card. Of course, got denied because I had no credit. And I kept wondering, like, okay, why am I getting denied for free money? Because I thought credit cards was like coupons or kind of like free money where I can just apply for it and they just give it to me. And I didn't have to pay it back. So that just like that alone explains how financially illiterate that I was. Right. So I got older, 19, 20 years old. And I was like, you know what? I'm in all this credit card debt. My credit score is down the toilet. It's in the 500s. I mean, I want to own a house one day. I want to start a business, like a legitimate business with my LLC, EIN number, everything in that nature. So I can't do this with a 5-something credit score. I need to get a better relationship with money, right? So it's when my aunt started turning me on to Dave Ramsey and other financial influencers, right? So people within that industry, she started me reading a lot of books, my brother as well, because he's an entrepreneur. So once I got more in tune with that, even though it was already there, I still was not really just paying attention to it. I really wasn't tapping into my true abilities, right? Which I care about people. What better way to getting to people is to, of course, provide jobs, like entrepreneurship, teach people about important life skills, financial literacy, and credit also. So it's my turn. My mom, like, okay, I'll listen now. What do you want to teach me? So I got back involved with her. I helped her out with the business, and she in return helped me out just on basic credit knowledge. And then ever since then, I was doing it part-time when I was working my corporate America job, the one I previously left before this one. And time, I'll go into it, I'll dive out, go into it, dive out. So I was kind of doing my own, my own knowledge, my own research on education, everything like that. Because I like to be self-taught. I don't like formal education as much because I feel that I can go my own speed. I can learn, the ways that I am receptive to it. Excuse me. So when I took it a bit more seriously around January of this year, and I was like, okay, I want to become an entrepreneur. What way can what business can I start that will benefit my community that will also create massive generational wealth for myself and for my family, so I can leave a legacy. And then also just make me happy, not being in corporate America, not having to not having to get back from a restroom break and people asking me, where have you been? Like, nah, none of your business, you know? So it's just that aspect of corporate America I just did not like. So I wanted to escape it. And that's why I dived more into this and I got more serious with it. And ever since then, it's been great. It really has. And the amount of stories that I hear every single day, and I'm able to have a chance to impact that and to change that. It's a huge, like, heartwarming feeling, and something that you never can just replace. So ever since then, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm all in. I'm not going back. And I've been doing it ever since.
And that's a beautiful thing, a beautiful story to inspire others, and you being determined. And big shouts out to your mom for steering you in the right direction at that age to get started. Because 18-year-olds don't be thinking stuff like that. But wait till I get a little bit older, then time waits for nobody. And you got to do a lot of catching up. So, Dan, you have any a question for Catrice?
Yeah, I love how you were like, I need to figure this out. I gotta figure this out. I gotta learn. I gotta read books. Who's gonna help me? Like, that's not a common attribute for somebody to have. And I don't run into, I would call you like a mover shaker, like somebody who just goes out there. You have a vision, you make it happen. And you can probably continue to do that throughout your life. And so I'm excited to see, you know, what you do in life. But I wanted to ask you, what is the best part about what you do for your client? So maybe like a good story, or what moves your heart about what you do?
Yeah. So I give you one example. So I had this client come on to the program about 4.5 months ago. Oh, 5 months now, going on 5 months. And he was a truck driver, career truck driver. He has kids here with him. I think he has some more in Tennessee, I believe. But when I met him, he just did not have any hope. He was searching for somebody to help him because he wanted to get a house for his kids. He wanted to get out of trucking because trucking can take a toll on just about anybody, man or woman. And my father, he's a career truck driver, so I know exactly, you know, in and out about that industry. So he wanted to get out of the industry. He wanted something for himself. So I could really hear that in his voice about how he's never able to be there as much as he wants to be with his kids because he's always on the road driving. So I was like, I feel for his man, because that's how I felt when I was growing up. Because my dad was always on the road, so when he was around, I would make do with, you know, with what I could. So when he told me his story, and it goes deeper into it, but he's a private person, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about himself. So when he got deeper into it, of course, he was a victim of identity theft. So someone stole his identity about 5 years ago, all his credit card information, all his security numbers, everything. And they started putting all types of stuff on his credit report, even applied for a whole apartment in his name, and he wasn't even there. It was leased out from someone else. I think that they tracked the person back to Dubai or somewhere like that. And I was like, wow, that's weird. Like, how would someone in Dubai get your information and put a whole apartment in your name? But of course, he didn't know that. He didn't know to check his credit score. He really didn't know much about credit because he with his whole life paying everything through cash, which a lot of my clients, time again, they pay everything through cash. So they come to me with little things on their credit reports, and it's like at 500s, maybe the 400s, and they don't have anything positive because they didn't know to put anything like an open credit card, you know, a car note or anything revolving, right, to help them improve their credit scores. So similar to this client, so he had an open credit card. It was maxed out. I'm sorry, he had two open credit cards and it was maxed out. He had the apartment in his name and he was actually evicted from it. He was not evicted. The guy, you know, in Dubai was actually evicted from it. And it was also a collection on another apartment. So it was two. And he, at the time, he didn't have an apartment. So he was living out of his truck because he was on the road driving. And then, so he got more into it. And I was like, how could you go so long without knowing all this was going on in your credit, because he was actually shocked. I had him check his credit score and his credit report when he was on the phone. And when he was doing that, I mean, it's like seeing a ghost, because he had no idea what was going on with his credit, like none. And it was amazing to me. I was like, wow, you're almost 34 years old and you have no idea what's going on with your credit. That right there alone speaks to how much this credit repair and this overall financial literacy is needed within our community, not just our community, everybody. So that right there, I was like, wow, that really just put the emphasis on, I got to get this out to the people. I got to get this in front of as many people as possible. Because how many other people are going through the exact same situation as him right now? And at the time, his credit score was in the 400s. So I got him started in the program, and he didn't have faith in the program because he was scared. He never done this before. And like I said, he was a victim identity theft 5 years ago. So he didn't have any faith in the program. 2 months down the line, still nothing was really going on with his credit. Nothing was moving. And then around the 3rd month came, and everything just started falling. The apartment, hard inquiry, close account, everything just started falling. And I was like, you gotta keep the faith. You gotta believe in something that you can't see. We believe God, we have faith in God, but yet we can't see him. So you have to keep the faith in this right here too. I mean, what else do you have to lose? We're being realistic. So he was like, okay, I'll calm down. Because he was getting ready to quit. I was like, don't quit on me. Don't quit on me. I'm trying to make a success story out of you. And you're going to watch and you're going to believe me. So, and that's when he started to believe me. He's like, oh my God, my credit score, I've never seen a credit score above 550. I was like, wow. When was the last time you checked your credit score? He said, when I was 26. I was like, wow, that's over 9 years ago. That's the last time you check your credit score? Yeah, you need this program. Who else is going through the same exact scenario as you? So more time came. The 4th month came. Then his credit score shot up to 644. So he went from a 427 to a 644 in a matter of 4 months. And I called him one day. I was like, hey, you checking your credit score yet? He's like, no, I haven't. I've been on the road. I've been busy. You know me. And I said, you know what? Okay, I'll check him on the phone. I gave him the credit score 644, and he dropped the phone and he started screaming hallelujah. And I was like, that right there, that is the reaction that I'm in this business for. That's what I love to do. I love to hear that. Right. I felt what he was feeling at the moment. And he was crying too. He was crying tears of joy because he'd never seen a 6 anything credit score. So it was such a blessing that I was able to experience that for myself, because at the time I really didn't have faith in our program, even though I was using it myself, but coming from someone else and they had a worse scenario, it put the icing on the cake for me. It made it all real. So I was like, wow, I got a really great product here. And I'm going to get this in front of as many people as I possibly can, because I want this exact same heartfelt, tear-jerking moment out of all my clients, right? Whether they take it serious or not. So that's just the most important part of it. And so I love to, feel. I want to feel like I'm finna cry. That what makes it more important to me.
That's awesome. That's
awesome. And just listen to your heart is a beautiful thing, to help others and being a servant to help people to get to the next level and that next phase in their life, because that's right there is important. And like I said, we don't really take our financial literacy serious. We take everything else serious when it comes to finances. When the stimulus checks went out, a lot of people were buying up material things, TV, whatever you want to buy. You always hear people tell, hey, you need to invest in this, invest in that. People be so impatient. Like, I know I want to invest. It takes time. I'm scared to invest. But we go out here and splurge, and then we regret buying things that we really didn't need because people spend on impulse. So when it comes to our credit, with your plan and your business and your system, your playbook, your baby, what is a good way to repair damaged credit?
Yeah. So if you really don't at that step where you're like, okay, I'll put this in front of the hands of someone professional like myself. I want to do it myself. You totally can, but you have to understand this one fundamental rule when it comes to credit repair. It takes time. You cannot come into this thinking that it's going to happen overnight. You can't think that you send in one dispute letter and then everything comes off your credit report and you're good. It doesn't happen that way. It's a repetitive cycle. It's like losing weight. You don't lose 100 pounds after one exercise or after one workout. It takes multiple workouts. It takes going to the gym 3-4 times a week for the next 36 weeks to lose maybe 100 pounds. So it's the exact same thing. You have to, realistically, it depends on what the person's credit looks like. So some may have little to no credit, or some may have little to no credit, but they got a bunch of negative items on there, like evictions, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repos, all kind of heavy stuff like that. So it depends on what kind of items they have on their credit that will determine how long it would take to repair it. So if they want to do it themselves, then they can go about it professionally, right? Through a professional, or they can do it themselves. The most recommended way to actually getting something off permanently is to do letter disputes. And the best way to do that is handwritten letter disputes. Now, there's a special coding when it comes to disputes that you want to get right. So you don't want to just say, hey, this AT&T account is not mine. Take it off. It doesn't work that way. You have to include the account number, the name of the actual company. If it's a collection agency, name the collection agency and the account number and say, can you verify it, or must be verified? Because when you're disputing stuff, that's the only thing you're doing. You're just verifying if the account holder actually has your account. And most people don't know whenever your original lender, say it's a hospital bill, and they send it off to a third-party collection agency 6 months later, then you're no longer entitled to paying that debt off because it's not the original lender. Even though they're saying that they're repping the original lender, they're not. They already paid for it. And the hospital has already recouped their funds from your debt and their tax write-off. So I wouldn't suggest anyone wait 6 months and then not pay it. I wouldn't suggest that at all, because it's going to put your credit in the toilet. It's going to take years to even pull it up close to 700, depending on where you start. So just that little secret there, well, not even a secret, just that basic knowledge there of how understanding how disputes work. So it's all about verifying if your account is yours or not. And more often than not, if it's a collection agency, a third party, they're not going to go, the credit bureau is not going to go and call these people and be like, hey, is so-and-so this account holder, are they in your system? Can you verify it? They're not going to do that. Because they get 20,000 letters, handwritten letters in the mail each day. So you really think they're going to take out the time to pay attention to one letter? No. They're not. So, and it all goes through a system, right? So a machine. So if it's typed up, which is most common is typed up, they'll send it, they'll run it through a machine. And if that specific code, if they've already preset that code to say, is already verified, they're going to do every letter like that, and they're not going to look at it. So if they have like a wet signature, or if it's a handwritten letter, the machine can't read that. So they're going to pull it off the machine, and they're just going to say, okay, is this verified? They're going to notify whoever the account holder is, and they got to wait 30 days. If they don't respond, they take it off. Or if they say that no, this is not our account, this person's not in our system, they take it off. So that part of the verification process there is how it works. And it's how we recommend our clients, if you do it yourself, you have to handwrite it yourself if you really want this stuff to come off. So like I said, if it goes through the machine, they've already predetermined whatever code you put on your letters, they've already predetermined what that outcome is without even looking at it. So handwritten or a wet signature or something indicating a human actually wrote something on a piece of paper, it's going to be pulled off the machine, and they have no other choice but to respond to you. So just that alone, send in one dispute letter. It goes to the snail mail, right? So it's 2 weeks. You have to be patient with this. And like I said, they have up until 30 days to respond to you or to be notified be notified if the account is yours or not. And then it's gonna take another 2 weeks to get back to you. So that alone is about 2 months. So that goes back to you have to have patience with this. It doesn't happen overnight. Overnight success is not overnight. Overnight could be 5 years, 10 years. That's ultimate overnight success, you know? So when people understand that, they understand credit repair. And they'll be able to sit there and like, okay, I know it takes time. And then not only just the disputing process, the building process. So once this stuff comes off their credit report, now they need to build up their credit, right? So you see a lot of people going to self, right? They're getting the self lender loans and the Chime credit cards and all that stuff. Like, okay, yeah, all that sounds great and all, but do you know what the hidden fees are? Are they reporting to all 3 credit bureaus? How often are they reporting to all 3 credit bureaus? If they report to all 3 credit bureaus, are they reporting your on-time payments or only your late payments? See, when people ask those questions, they're like, oh, okay, now I know what credit card or what advertisement I need to pay attention to, or the right questions to ask. That's how a lot of people get them. A lot of my clients, they have fingerhood accounts. I hate fingerhood accounts. I hate when people suggest that. Yeah, it's a bunch of hidden fees. It's a bunch of hidden fees. And they do not report to all 3 credit bureaus every 30 days. They report your late payments, of course, because they get paid from that. They get paid from it. Any way they get paid from it, oh yeah, most definitely. They're going to report it. No joke. You know, and when people understand that, they're like, oh, okay, I got it. I'm not going to apply for this credit card. I'm not going to apply for that and all that, you know? So when they understand that, it's just all to, you know, all boils down to, okay, I did it. Or I need help. Can you come help me? At that end.
Yeah, I could see the value in definitely hiring somebody who knows. I mean, look at all this knowledge that you're dropping, where people, you know, trying to do it on your own, you don't know all this, but you know all the secrets.
Yeah.
So my question is around time management. So you're an entrepreneur, you've spent a lot of time learning how to be a business owner, not just this business, but working in the corporate world, and then also having your own businesses coming through the ranks. So how important is time management to you, and what does a day look like in your life?
Yeah, time management is everything. Time management to me is like oxygen I breathe. I can't go without it. I can't, because I forget things left and right. I naturally forget things. So my days is so congested, because when I wake up in the morning, I wake up between 6 and 8. It just depends on the night that I had before. But most of my appointments don't start until 10 a.m. And when I first wake up, you know, I thank God, I become grateful. You know, I say everything I'm grateful for. I look at my vision board. So it reminds me of why I'm doing the things I'm doing and where I'm going. And that's most important in entrepreneurship. You know, you can't sit out on the path of entrepreneurship and don't know exactly where you're going. Right. You know, you can't go without a plan. It doesn't make sense. It's kind of driving a car with no gas. Oh, yeah. You can't go anywhere, you know? Right. So I wake up, I look at my vision board. I say all my affirmations. I say what I'm grateful for. And then I get to work. I check my phone. And then after that, I respond to people. After that, I go work out. And then it's about an hour or so. And then after that, you know, it's all appointments throughout the day up until about 4 o'clock. And then it's when my training calls with my agents or my business partners. So we do little training segments, right? So I train people on how to talk to customers, how to deal with disputes, how to answer questions about credit and things like that, right? And help them make their business more efficient. And then after that, you know, here's about 10 o'clock. I'm finishing up emails, any courses. I'm working on a course right now, teaching people about basic credit. So I go into my coursework, I read my books. So after 10 a.m. it's pretty much personal development for me, because with a leader, you have to implement some form of personal development within your day. And that goes up until about 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. depending on how motivated I am. And then after that, the day just repeats after that.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to be the first to say, I'm sorry, Miss Danielle, but I want to be I was listening to you. God bless you, because you get to get up at 10 o'clock in the morning and start your day. And I mean, your day, I would trade places with you at any given moment. So God, take my hat off to you. I thank you.
Right? Thank you.
Yes,
I'm glad you
indeed.
said it.
Yes.
I'm hating.
I'm like, some people I was like, 10 a.m. If I could get up at 10 a.m., I can conquer the world.
Right. I would take over the world.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, kudos to you. God bless you.
Thank you. And that alone was time management.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it looks like she is kind of taking over the world a little bit, because she's doing a lot of things. And I think your nighttime, that time at night, is really powerful. I haven't done that. I go to bed super early because I can't get up early if I stayed up late. So I'm getting older. I'm one of those people, but I think that's awesome that you spend time reading and just being intentional. And then in the morning you have your gratitude. So that brings us around to the God conversation. How is God? I'm sorry, Freeman. Should I pass it back or should I?
Go ahead.
Okay. How is God? How is God in your day? I see that you're giving gratitude and you've talked about God a little bit. I know that he's in charge of everything that we do. So I'd like to hear how he's involved in your overall success as a business owner.
Yes. So I'm not heavily religious, but I do have my moments where I give it back to God, because I couldn't be here without him. I read my scriptures, I listen to podcasts, I watch YouTube videos on things like that. I meditate. Yeah, I do. Thank you for waking me up this morning, because I could be asleep right now and never wake up.
Right.
And it's just not, I'm too young. I got a whole life to live. I got many hearts to touch. So what person to give that back to other than God? I mean, he's the creator of all. So but he plays a huge role, in my life and my overall success. Without him, he wouldn't give me the vision that I have. And without him, I wouldn't be able to put the faith in myself or keep the faith in myself and what I'm doing and what I'm accomplishing. So every day when I say, how grateful I am, and I say my affirmations, it's like a confirmation to me saying, okay, God gave you this vision. Nobody else did. It's up to you to live out what God's plan is.
Absolutely.
You're going to do it or you're not. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it.
Yeah. It sounds like God has definitely played an instrumental role in getting you through life. Like he gave you a lot of insight as a child and just, making you this I get that same thing. Like you're an old soul. They'll be like, how do you know this stuff? Like I think on a different level. And so people will be like, how old are you? Like you're thinking like a older woman. And so I think that I'm just very inspired by you. I'm like, wow. And I think that if you stay, and I feel like you already know this, but just for the viewers or for anybody who's going to watch in the future, I think you can agree that if you focus on a goal that you have long term, like let's say that maybe we'd love to hear what your goals are, but if you focus on a goal like I want to buy a big house with 6 rooms, like get detailed about it and just think about that in the morning and sit down and have a few minutes to just like realize what you're doing this for. It has an impact on your overall day. It has an impact on your success. And so that's what I heard from you. And I'm just blown away by you, girl. But go ahead, Freeman.
And that's what's up. And like I said, man, it's some exciting things to hear your passion, to hear your heart, to express your awareness to the financial world. And that stuff is important when it comes to finance, especially when budgeting, family, generation. And I notice now it's catching on now, because back in the day, we really weren't talking about financial literacy. We was always taught to work on the job, get retirement, you living a good life now, and that's it.
Right.
But now it's picking up where people catching hold to generational wealth. I remember I went to this concert here in Texas. And I went to the Nelly concert back in around Cinco de Mayo, and I seen this guy had a T-shirt on, and on the T-shirt it says generational wealth is the new gangster.
I agree with
because now people are thinking about their children. Now they're thinking about, I don't want my child to struggle the way that my parents struggled, or I did. So are you coming in contact with people now who are serious about generational wealth?
No.
Not really?
Not really. Because it's the topic of generational wealth doesn't enter the equation until I come across someone who is a bit more professional, right? So who's a financial advisor, or an aspiring entrepreneur, or an artist even. So anyone that's really in that self-employed type of mindset, or just an overall entrepreneurial mindset, improvement or open mind, those type of individuals, they're more to explore. They're more to have in that type of conversation. But when I'm talking to someone like an everyday Joe, they're like, I'm just trying to pay my bills.
Right.
I'm just trying to get to the next day.
Right.
So when I enter that topic, or when I introduce that topic, it goes right over their head, because it's on a whole different level. You see what I'm saying? It's on two different levels. Right. So just implementing that back in like my whole vision, and introducing that to my community, that's going to be a challenge right there, because they're already used to one way of living. They're not used to, oh, it's another way. Yeah, there is no EBT in my vision for my people, for my community. It's generational wealth. It's what can we do now to produce income? No, not just income, to produce wealth for myself, for my family, for my kids, kids, down the line. Because we want to be like the Rockefellers, we want to have money just coming out of our ears.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a challenge, really breaking that down to layman's terms, because not to offend anybody, but when you introduce generational wealth or financial literacy, it's like talking to a toddler, introduce them to their ABCs, rather than teaching them about history or 12th grade history. Way too many different levels, right? So you have to build on top of one another. So I don't have many of those discussions. I start by saying, you know what? I'm glad that it sounds like you don't like your job that much, but here's another way that you can provide for your family. You can work for yourself. I know it's very intimidating. You always have that person saying it's keeping you on track, but that just betters you. That can hold you more accountable. So once they realize that, and I start painting it in the actual picture for them, that's when they actually understand it. And that's why I can kind of build on top of it. And I can really dive into, okay, we're trying to get this generational wealth going. We're trying to get like the Rockefellers, and start naming big timers, that have generational wealth, have already built it up until this point. The Kennedys even. So once I start mentioning those names, it's when the conversation changes. So back to your original question, no, I don't have many of those discussions. It's kind of like introductory discussions, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It's just stuff like that anyway. Because the average person, like income tax time, you get the average person always get excited about income tax time. And getting out of that mindset, because big time people like the athletes, the entertainers, they don't get on social media talking about income tax season. They say they talk money every day. Mm-hmm. But just that mindset, the way we look at money, how we view money. Yes. We look at money as, okay, I'm going to buy the next pair of Jordans. So I'm going to buy the next latest fashion. We do this stuff for clout, but we don't have anything put aside for a rainy day. We don't have anything in our savings. We don't have no investments going on, no stocks going on. And so when hard times hit, we looking crazy. Then we want to do GoFundMe. And I'm not knocking nobody. I'm not taking shots. But We get on social media. We do GoFundMe accounts, and we want everybody to donate.
Yep.
All that stuff. I got to bury a loved one. And I'm not knocking nobody. Don't take offense, but getting out of that mindset of depending on other people to take care of your family members. You know, you messing up your children's credit. So your children get old, they don't have no credit because the parents now mess their credit up. So when it comes to keeping your client interested, how do you keep them interested in taking care of their business when it comes to their financial side?
I remind them of why they started in the first place. Because one of the most important questions I ask is, why are you doing this? Why do you want to improve your credit? I ask it real bluntly, like, why do you want to do this? And they say, well, I got kids, so I want a house for my son. He's 2 years old. Or I got 4 kids. I want to get them a house and, get them out of this nasty apartment. So when kids introduce or come into the topic, that's when the whole dynamic changes. So I'm like, oh, we got kids. So I'm gonna tap into that. Like, oh, okay, you got kids. So I'm gonna hit that pain point. Like, okay, you're fixing your credit for your children. Yes? They say yes. Like, okay, so you have to be the responsible parent here. You have to get control of your own finances, your own situation, because they're watching you. So everything you do, they're going to do. So you don't want them in the same situation, do you? No, I don't. Okay, this is the perfect opportunity for you to change that. So what better way than to start now? Why keep procrastinating? Why wait until the next paycheck? But you got the money, or you can go borrow the money to invest or to start improving your credit, even on your own, till you get the money where you can get into the program. So once I shifted that way, they're like, okay, it makes more sense. And when they start having doubt, I bring up the kids again. And say, for instance, they don't have kids. I ask them again, why did you start this in the first place? And it always goes back to, I want a house, or I want to quit my job if they decide they want to actually do the business, right? So I want to quit my job. I hate working where I'm working. And all these different pain points or reasons why they want to do or change their situation, I go back to that. And I ask them important questions around it. Well, if you hate your job, what else are you going to do besides your job if you quit? What happens if the job quits you? What are you going to do?
My Lord.
Do you have a way to protect yourself? Do you have life insurance? Instead of putting up a GoFundMe, do you have a life insurance policy? And it's like, you know what? I don't. And when you start asking those real questions, that's when the conversation changes too. And that's when I can lead more into the generational wealth, as I was saying. Because wealth is not just generational, right? Or that's why I was saying it. Ignorance is generational too. So you being ignorant, financially ignorant, you can teach that to your kids, and they can be in the exact same situation, and then their kids too, and to their kids too. So that right there, generational ignorance. We don't want that. We don't want that. We want to change the other way.
And I agree with that. Getting our government assistance. You know what I'm saying? We used to depend on government assistance and the EBT food stamp. We get so excited about a food stamp card. I don't even get food stamps. Man, I can go to a food stamp. Them folks gonna laugh at me. But as a man, I'm proud of that. As a man, to say I don't have to depend on the government system, that I could provide for my own. And by the grace of God, be able to do that. And breaking that mindset, like you said, it triggers on. When it comes to spending, being disciplined. You know how media is. You know how television is. They want you to buy the latest iPhone. And what's so special about an iPhone? I tell people, you spend that amount of money for iPhone. Not only that, you got to pay it monthly. It's on top of your bill.
That's right.
The latest iPhone, you get the latest, and people break their necks to get this latest stuff. But nobody want to be disciplined.
Exactly.
I want $1,200 for iPhone. $1,200 for iPhone. Wow. You can do something over that
$1,200. You do a lot of things with $1,200.
All the things with $1,200.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't see the difference with the phone. What do the phone do? Do it charge itself? Do it walk itself out the door? Do it? I mean, because the stuff is pretty much the same. It enhances the camera, but people all look a way to get money out of us. I'm not knocking Jordans. I wear J's myself, but I'm not gonna put my whole entire life savings on $200 pair of shoes. I'm sorry. Just try to impress people, knowing that I don't have anything in my refrigerator. That don't make no sense. Well, we want to try to keep up with the Joneses, but we don't have anything in order. And I kind of hate that we deal with that on a regular basis to that point. So I'm going to pass on to my co-host. I know she got some questions she want to ask you as well. So take it away.
Well, I think it all comes down to priorities when we're talking about, I just can't hold back. I'm like, I had to say something about financial literacy. You know, it comes down to priorities when we're spending money. I talk to people all the time, all the way from, you know, multimillionaires all the way to regular people who don't have a lot of money. And it's really it all comes down to the same thing. What are your priorities? What do you want to buy? And what's most important to you? So I love what you were saying about taking it back to the basics of why are you trying to do this, and keeping people on track. And I think sometimes in sales, and also, especially in financial sales, we are more than just like your financial professional. We can be your life coach. We can be your therapist, your best friend, sometimes your confidant. And I think that you're doing a great job talking to people and really helping them get to their goals. Because I think if you just give somebody something, that's not powerful. And you understand the reason behind it and the goals that somebody has, and helps them to stay accountable to get to those goals, then you're going to be more successful. You're going to have more success stories like the one you just told. I was so touched by that. And I was just thinking like, wow, you know, there's so many people who, you know, have never had financial literacy. And you said a lot of people, as far as like generational wealth, they don't want to have that conversation because it sounds like something like it's almost scary because they don't know what that is. So it made me think like, wow, maybe we should, well, I've talked to kids, but what do you think about maybe talking to kids about financial literacy? I've had a lot more successful conversations with children talking about basic concepts, but then even getting into some of the deeper concepts. And then now they have a stronger foundation to go off of. Have you done that, or what do you think about that?
Yeah. I actually kind of experiment on my own brother. He's 10. So 10 going on 11. And I ask him all the time, hey, Cameron, how much does it take if I have $5 right now and I want to make $100? How much money do I need to make to get to $100? He's like, oh, you need $95. Like, okay, do you know what I can do to get $95? And then the conversation kind of builds on top of that. So in a way, it's much, much easier talking to kids about money than it is adults. Because adults, we've already been preconditioned to think one way about money. We've already have our relationship with money. And it's hard changing from one perspective to another completely different aspect, right? Completely different perspective. But with kids, they have not been molded into that yet. They've not been saturated in that environment where they think money is bad or money just is the root of all evil. No, people are the root of all evil, right? They do evil things with money because they have a bad relationship with money. So when I talk to kids, you know, about money, I say, you know what? You gonna make $5? They're like, yeah, I want to make $5. Like, you know what? Instead of going to spend that on some candy, you can go get an Apple stock. I mean, we all know Apple stock is way more than $5. We know that. But for the example, for the kids, you can go get an Apple stock. Oh no, I'm sorry, a McDonald's stock. You like McDonald's, don't you? They're like, yeah, I love McDonald's. And I did my brother Cameron. I said, Cameron, you can go get you a McDonald's stock. And guess what? You own part of McDonald's. And then he was like, "Oh my God, really?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I can go in and get whatever I want." I was like, "Yes, you can." Because it builds over time, you know? You can end up owning your own McDonald's. And just in that aspect, they're like, "Oh my God, I want to own McDonald's stock." It's the conversation just so beautiful. I love it. Just kind of painting that to kids, or painting that, that story, that vision to kids, where it hits most, because now my brother, he says he want to get a GameStop stock. And I was like, you missed that way, dude. Yeah, man, a few months ago, you could have been rich.
Well, it went back down. It came up and
Exactly. I was a little mad myself for missing it, but we all get more opportunities to make money. So, but when we're teaching financial literacy to kids, it's more so of what you want and what you don't want. Do you want, and like mommy is, well, how many jobs she working? 2 jobs, 3 jobs? How many is dad working 2, 3 jobs too? Do you want to be like dad? Kind of tapping into that and like, oh no, I don't want to do that. No, I want to do that. And then the conversation actually also turns entrepreneurial. Like, well, you can start your own business if you want to. And like, I can? Like, yeah, you can. You can. There's 8-year-olds on YouTube making millions of dollars just by grading what the new toy does. Crazy stuff, right? Crazy stuff. So there's plenty of ways. There's no age, there's no age limit to making money. Back to what you were saying, at the beginning of the podcast, age has no limit, especially when it comes to money. You can make money in your sleep. You can make money generational, right? Because I already know my great grandkids, they got money sitting in the bank. I already know they do, right? Just for my actions today. Yeah. I
think when you inspire kids, you do more than just inspire them for today. You could change somebody's life, just by one thing, one conversation. It could literally change the whole trajectory of their life. So it's awesome.
Oh yeah, man, that's a beautiful thing, to envision the type of life you want, create the type of life you want to live, and that's a beautiful thing to be able to do. And I got stocks myself. I know I got stocks in Snapchat, AMC, I hope I said that right, AME, and General Electric. I got stocks myself because my coworkers here turned me onto stocks, and it builds over time. So it's a beautiful thing because you at that point now, you want your money to work for you.
That's right.
Viewing money as a tool. And then also be in a position, like I said, I'm the type of dude, I like nice houses, I like nice things, but be in a position to have those things. Don't have to worry about no paycheck to paycheck living. If you want to go take a trip, you got the money to do it. You ain't gotta say, I just about doing this next week. You got the necessary funds to do it. You may go take a trip, or just be able to do things to enjoy life and have the freedom to do the things that you want to do. Like, what I'm saying? Like, when I have children one day, I want my children in private school. I want to be able to have that structural family life that is stress-free, is healthy, and be able to do the things you want to do together as a family. That's why I respect LeBron James and all them, what they do with their family, installing in their children. You look at the big-time athletes that we got today. They're investing in their money in different things. They know there's life after football. There's life after basketball. Years ago, Shaq said that the NBA is a fantasy life. Reality steps in after the NBA, after your career over. You got to think about your next goal, your next move, and be able to be financially secure. Because we have athletes who went broke, buying up everything, having entourages, paying everybody else bills. Because think about it, when you're the top dog in anything, you're a target. Everybody looking for you as an ATM. So you're the target. Everybody looking for you. Hey, I need help with this. I need help with that. But have you ever came across people who want the handout, but not willing to learn how to be able to be prepared? You heard this story. They said you feed a man a fish. You feed a man a fish, he eat for a day. But you teach a man how to fish, he eat for a lifetime. And just getting out that concept, okay, teaching people how to implement your system compared to just looking for a quick fix? How would you approach that?
Well, it's a good question because it goes back to their why, back to their why for their kids, for themselves. They want a car, a better house, whatever. When I go back to, say for kids, an example, if they want to change this into, they want to get a house for their kids, they want to get transportation for their kids. I'm like, well, okay, gotcha. Well, doing a credit sweep is illegal. You know that, right? They're like, what? It is? Like, yeah, it is. You can't just remove everything from your credit and thinking that it's all cherries, right? It's not. It's going to come back. It always does. So that's why people that ask you for $600 up to $1,200 just for one credit sweep, because they'll fix your credit like that. It doesn't work that way. It does not. It always hurts you in the long run. So rather for me, as a professional, what I'm trying to explain, that when you do quick fixes, it's like putting a Band-Aid over a bullet wound and hoping it repairs itself. It doesn't do that. Even though our skin heals itself, but we also need, hydrogen peroxide or alcohol, make sure that it doesn't get infected or anything like that. And we help it to heal. Same way in credit repair. You can't just do a credit sweep and thinking that everything's good and now you can go apply for a house. You can't do that. Because they're going to be like, why don't you have anything on your credit report and you're 45 years old? Yeah. You've been doing up to this point, right? They're going to look at all that, especially people when they do trade lines. I hear that all the time. Like, I got to get a trade line. They say I can get a trade line. I can get a $5,000 trade line for about $500. I'm like, okay, great. But when you get that trade line, how long is it going to be there? Yeah. They're like, oh, it's like, yeah. You can't go to a lender or mortgage broker and presenting your credit report and they're looking like, wow, you have a $5,000 credit line here and you have 2 credit cards that's $200 each. Fishy. Decline. You see what I'm saying? You never had anything above $500 on your credit report. Now obviously you have a $5,000 trade line. Nah, it's not going to do you any justice at all. It's going to turn you down a lot quicker if you didn't have it on your credit report. Okay. Because it seems fishy. So when I explain that to people, these little quick fixes, these little trade lines, expensive trade lines, or the credit sweeps, they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, that does make sense. I don't want to jeopardize my credit more than what it already is now. So I say, you know what? In our program, we have a roadmap and it breaks it down month 1 through 3, month 4 through 6, and then 8 through 9, and then they're on out, right? It tells you exactly what you need to do within those month brackets to improve your credit, right? Of course, we start with removing stuff from your credit reports, but then we also go into the building stage once all this stuff comes off, or you can do it immediately if you want to, right? So you can apply for secured credit card. Secured credit card, you can just put your own deposit down, depending on the card. The most common minimum balance is $200, right? So in a way, that's your buy-in to your own future, right? Mm-hmm. And when I explain to people that way, they're like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. That makes me more responsible, right? It holds me accountable. I'm putting my money down on this in hopes of it repaying me back in future later on. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what secured credit cards do. Or that's exactly what financial literacy does. You can get free stuff, free content all day long. But at some point, when you want to take it up a notch, you're going to have to invest in yourself, monetarily wise, yes. So of course, I preach away from those one-time fixes. I get a lot of people who come to me for those. I'm like, I don't do that. You can go to somebody in the alley somewhere. I don't do that. It's bad business. Right. And instead, I say, you know what? Instead of doing that, this is what I do. This is how it works. This is why it works, too. And I got plenty of client testimonials proving that it works. And once they see that, they're like, oh, my God. OK, so you're saying month 1 through 3, I just got to sit tight, be constantly on the lookout my credit. Then month 4, I can start building my credit, or I can do this right now. So once people have that system in place, or they had that roadmap or that plan, that blueprint to follow, they're more commonly just, they're able to follow the plan through and through if it means it's going to improve themselves for their kids or improve their finances for their children or for themselves or whatever, right? So once I explain that, they're just like, okay, it makes sense. I'm ready to do that. But it also just goes back to their why and explaining the pros and cons out of both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I like that too, how, you know, just leading people down the road of righteousness instead of unrighteousness. Because people now, I'm gonna say, some people look for quick fix. Just like when it comes to our health, everybody, they get you into this quick fix in your weight. Oh, you drink this and you'll lose all this weight within days. But people don't want to put it in work. People don't want to change their diet. They don't want to exercise. Everybody want to take the shortcut and get away from these shortcuts. Shortcuts is from the devil. Just take the shortcut and that's it. But what about just putting in the work, the process, the sacrifice? And then keeping people out your ear. You know, people now just want to live for the weekend. I'm just living for the weekend. But people that's about their business, they're thinking about the generation behind them, not just for the weekend. I'm at the point I don't even care about the weekend. I'm building something. That's the most important thing to me. So, in your own life, how do you embrace where you want to go? What's the number one thing that you do to get the path that you get set on for those who are looking to start on the right path? Because we know that with God, all things are possible.
Well, repeat the first half of that question again.
Yeah, how you approach. Because you at 13 that you was destined to be greater than where you was at that time. So at 13 years old, how did you approach that at 13? Because you don't really hear a lot of 13-year-olds be business minded. You don't hear 20-year-olds. Matter of fact, you don't hear 50-year-olds be business minded. But at 13, how did you approach that at 13 to be business minded at the age of 13? Just take us through that. Walk us through that.
Yeah. So I look back at my family's history. I saw my mom was doing, I saw my dad was doing, my grandparents, and then their grandparents, their parents. And I just went up the family tree. And it was a cycle. Everybody was working. They were tired. They were broken. And I was like, I don't want to be that way. I want to be different. And then I was in the digital age. Well, we're still in the digital age. So when I was 13, all it was YouTube, right? Online videos and stuff. So I saw, and of course, the school district that I was in Bartlett at the time. And that area is kind of the not upper class. It's kind of like the middle class a little bit. So in that environment alone, it was a different atmosphere, different people. They were more open to different ideas. And I started listening to other conversations about people with money, because I thought money was evil, of course. I thought money that would harm me in the long run. I thought I couldn't have money until I started listening. I started paying attention to the news, even though the news doesn't feed anything but negative stuff. You'll catch a positive story here and there, but it's full of negative stuff. So I started paying attention to more news. I was curious, and I stumbled upon money. I stumbled upon financial literacy. I stumbled upon an 8-year-old making millions. That's what caught my attention. I was like, he's 8 and he's making millions off of grading people's toys. So I was very curious. And I Googled it, actually. I was like, how can an 8-year-old make, not 8-year-old. I said, how can a 13-year-old make money or make millions? And that just opened the door for me, because I was like, I don't want to work, be broke, tired, and busted like my parents, my grandparents. I don't want to work until I'm 50 or 60 years old. I've probably been dead by then. So that's what my mindset was back then. I didn't want to be that way until I said, I'm going to Google this stuff and I'm going to figure it out. And then ever since, it's just been uphill from there. I went to high school and I searched for classes on money, on entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And they had it. I was like, oh yeah.
I mean, information's out there. I mean, you got to Google this stuff. It's so much free information out there. People just got to apply themselves and be willing. I know we're pressing for time. Danielle, you have any other question we have?
I just
Have for the
add
guests?
something. I'll just add something at the end. I had a similar aha moment in my life when I grew up from humble beginnings, and like I just remember looking around one day, and I realized I was like, man, I was young, working hard. I had like 3 jobs. I worked really hard my whole life. A similar story to yours. And I looked around and I was like, everybody around me is older, but like I was young and we're all making the same amount of money. And I was in sales. So I always had people trying to steal my sales, and I was always fighting for my stuff. And I'm like, I felt bad. I always had a heart for people. So I would like give stuff away. And I'm like, I'm trying to help this man because he has kids and stuff. So I realized one day, I was like, I don't want to be like that. I just don't want that for me. And so I think when you have a passion and you realize I don't want this and I want better, there's so much out there. Like really the sky is the limit for any person who decides that they want something. You just have, how bad do you want it? That's what I tell people. I'm like, I mean, it's really about how much you're willing to sacrifice to get where you're going. But I wanted to just end my little piece with this thing that came to mind while you were talking about people making good decisions and not taking the easy route. I'm all about helping people to reach their potential, and I have a lot of different like small companies that do that, but one is called Building Foundations, and it's actually founded off of the story or parable in the Bible in Matthew 7 verse 24, where Jesus was talking about building a strong foundation so that if the storms of life come, and I encourage you guys to go read it. It's Matthew 7, 24 through 27, but I'm just going to sum it up. Basically, if you build your life on a strong foundation, when the storms of life come, and they will come, then when they come, your foundation will stand firm. And it talks about the wise man who built his life on a strong foundation, and the storms of life came, and that house stood through the storms. And then it talked about the foolish man who built his house on a weak foundation, basically taking shortcuts, doing the easy way, doing whatever they had to do. And at the end of the day, the storms of life still came, same situation, but that house did not stand. And so I love that you're taking the time with people to help them to understand that, like, yeah, it's not about the easy pickings or the fast fix. It's about doing something that's really going to make a difference for your long-term future so that you can get out of your situation and hopefully have a better life long-term. So I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. Freeman,
You're welcome.
back to you.
Oh, most definitely. My last and final question for you, Catrice. How do you see your legacy?
My legacy will be run by food. I love food. I'll be touching all the many hearts through food, because that's one thing I love to do. I love to eat. So when there's a new restaurant, like, okay, I can introduce credit while I'm eating. Hey, you got a bad credit score.
I
You got a good
support the
relationship.
mission.
Exclamation point.
It's the best way to get people's attention.
Yes.
You know?
got all my attention.
Yeah.
See, exactly. I'll be like, I'm gonna open up a taco shop. And I open up a food taco shop. And I say, you know what? You got bad credit. I got you. Let me help you out real quick.
Credit, everything. Do it all together.
Yes. I'm gonna be the food credit lady.
Oh yeah.
Yes, do it. You can change the whole industry. I believe in you. I really believe it.
Thank you.
Man, that's some awesome stuff right there. So, man, we appreciate you. We thank you taking time out to be the schedule to hang out with us on this Tuesday night here on Walking His Ways Impact Force podcast. We thank the audience that tuned in with us tonight as well, that watched us live. Well, they live to stream because we went live on Zoom. So we had a live audience tonight. We appreciate everybody's feedback, people in the chat room. We appreciate everybody. We thank y'all for joining us tonight. Let me know that God is really in the mix steering us in the right direction. And I'm excited about the podcast, where it's going. It's all about moving forward. So I thank God for that. We're gonna be back next Tuesday night, same time. If you're on the West Coast, it's gonna be 5 p.m. If you're in the Central Time Zone, it's gonna be 7. If you're on the East Coast, it's gonna be at 8 p.m. We will be keeping y'all posted, updated on the latest episodes. You will be able to view this episode on our YouTube channel. It will be up on Spotify and iHeartRadio, so you can listen to the audio version of this podcast, or you watch the video version of the podcast on our YouTube channel and up on our Facebook page as well. We want everybody, man, have a great, productive Tuesday. Oh, go ahead. You guys okay?
Yes. Before we get off, I would like to give a special shout out to our audience. One particular person, my oldest daughter is on watching tonight, and she's all the way in Greenville, Mississippi. So I really want to say thank you for watching. I love you. She's getting ready to go to college. She's be a freshman. And so I thank you, Alicia Jones, for watching. Daddy loves you. That's all I got.
I love that.
Awesome, cool bean. We thank our audience that tuned in with us, that checking out with us, hung out with us. Thank you, Catrice, as well. Once again, keep doing what you're doing. Keep being an innovator. Keep inspiring. Keep motivating people, to get on that right road as well. Well, like I said, big shouts out to Danielle. Big shouts to E.Mo, the whole entire crew, the whole entire staff for making this thing possible and what we're doing, and the consistency, staying consistent. No matter what you're doing in life, always stay consistent. Always improve yourself. Always find ways to better yourself. Be a better version of you. Be a better version of who God made you to be. Utilize your gift. The Bible said that our gifts make room for us. Everybody has a gift. We all have a gift. Tap into that gift. Utilize that gift, and that gift is gonna make room for you. And you ain't gotta beg nobody, you ain't gotta plead nobody, you ain't got brown nose. It's gonna happen for you, because that gift is gonna make room for you. And you never know who's watching you, because people are always watching you. Stay consistent, keep your integrity, stay professional at all times. Character's important. All that stuff is important. But we're gonna be back here next week. Same time, same bad time, same bad channel. For those that don't know, that's from the old Batman show that came out in the 60s, but it was still, I'm born in the 80s, but it was still coming on at that time. So, man, we want everybody to have a great, productive Tuesday. Study something, read up on something, do some research, get motivated, stay inspired, know what your why is, do a vision board, set your goals, get motivated, get pumped. Get out yourself. The book that I'm reading now, Relentless. In order to be successful, you're going to have to get out your comfort zone. Yes, that's the trick. That's the key. Not the trick, that's the key. You have to get out your comfort zone in order to be successful. If you want to lose weight, you can't keep eating hamburgers, hot dogs, and all that other stuff. If you want to lose weight, you're going to have to change your diet. You're going to have to do some things, some physical activities. Stuff like that. I mean, let's be honest. That's it. Let's be real. Keep it 100. You're gonna have to make some changes. If you're single, you want to be a husband, you want to be a wife, make some changes. If you want to be settled down, you can't be a whore. Just keeping it real. You gotta make some changes.
Keep it real now. Keep it real.
And make some changes. If you want to, because you got. That's for another broadcast. But we're going to see y'all next week here on Walking This Way's Impact Voice. And we love y'all. See y'all next time. Peace.
Bye.
Thank you.